Hello everyone, welcome to another day of notes. It's Mr. Smith, your 8th grade U.S. history teacher here at Madonna Middle School, and today we'll be covering Chapter 6, Section 1. And today's notes topic really discuss what is the Declaration of Independence, why do we care about it, and how does the Declaration of Independence affect us today. So let's get to it. Alright, so for the sake of this video, I am not going to ask you to go out and watch CNN Student News or CNN 10. If you are watching this video, you're probably watching it because you're either reviewing for a quiz, the Chapter 6 quiz, or the Unit 2 test, or you're watching this video because you missed a day of notes, and so you're trying to recap that information. So I'm not going to ask you to go out of your way and watch CNN 10. If you want to watch it, just type in your Google search, CNN 10 or CNN Student News, and it'll pull up the link for CNN 10, and you just click on it, and you can watch CNN 10 there. But again, not going to ask you to go out of your way and go find it. All right, so in class today, we read this secret breakup letter that was really just a breakup letter from the colonists to the King of England. And it really tried to set up this idea that the Declaration of Independence is this breakup letter or this break from England. And it really puts us into perspective with something that we know. We've probably been in a relationship or we've had friends in relationships. They've probably broken up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. And so it's easy to understand the Declaration of Independence if you're really thinking of it as in a relationship, of a breakup. And so that's what we try to get in that mindset of. The Declaration of Independence is this breakup of the colonists from the King of England. All right, so in class we did CNN 10, and then we also read the letter. Then we're going to do about 15 minutes worth of notes, and then you have a Declaration of Independence source analysis, which is about the belief system or the beliefs of the colonists and why they were declaring their independence and what they thought the government should and should not do. And then you had a race response about how important are the beliefs of the colonists and were they really right in wanting to declare their independence. All right, so the questions that we're trying to answer for today, our essential questions are, how did the colonists call for their independence? What events or what motions led into play that led to the Declaration of Independence being written? And then secondly, what is the Declaration of Independence and how did it impact the colonies and the colonists? So by the end of class today, you should be able to identify and explain how the colonists came to call for their independence, and you should also be able to identify and explain the meaning and impact of the Declaration of Independence. All right, so the call for independence. If you think back to Chapter 4, the events that led to the American Revolution, if you think back to Chapter 5, the events still leading to and eventually causing the American Revolution, you'd remember that there were two different groups of people. You had loyalists who wanted to remain loyal to the king, and you also had patriots, or a group of people that were saying, we need to fight in order to get taxed with equal representation. So the patriots were really wanting to fight so that they could have their equal representation in Britain's government in Parliament. If you also remember, we talked about the Second Continental Congress meeting in May of 1775, and basically once Lexington and Concord happened, they realized they need to fight Britain, and so the colonists chose Washington to be their Continental Army general. They also said that they're going to train militias, and they also said they're going to start printing their own money. So a lot of events are leading to fighting. The American Revolutionary War started. Half a year later, in January of 1776, you have this guy by the name of Thomas Paine, or T-Paine as he's also known. He is going to write this lengthy pamphlet. His pamphlet's going to be called Common Sense, and he's going to change or try to shift the American people's way of thinking. He's no longer going to say, hey, let's keep fighting for equal representation or fighting for representation in Parliament, but it makes sense, it's common sense, that we'd be better off ruling ourselves. The king's an ocean away. He has no idea what's going on in the colonies. He can't relate to the colonists. So it just makes common sense that the colonists should fight for their independence rather than fighting for equal representation. And many colonists are going to read this pamphlet by Thomas Paine, Common Sense, and they're going to be inspired to say, you know what? Thomas Paine is actually right. We should be fighting for our own independence. We should try to get rid of British government in the colonies, and we'd be better off ruling ourselves. On top of, or I guess in lieu of, Common Sense being written, you also have another guy who's going to be inspired by Common Sense and inspired by what's going on in the colonies, and his name is Richard Henry Lee. And in 1776, the same year that Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. Richard Henry Lee is going to write a resolution or a formal statement of opinion for the state of Virginia. And essentially what this resolution or this Virginia resolution is going to be is it's going to state that the colonies should be free, or the colonies were free. They have their independence. They no longer need to follow the King of England because he has no way of relating to the colonists whatsoever. And so this Virginia resolution is really like the second, because you could really call Common Sense the first, kind of little breakup notes that the colonists start sending throughout the colony saying, we really should break up with the King of England. We need to fight for our own independence. And so that's what the colonists are going to do. And it starts with the Continental Congress again. So again, the same group that said, let's choose Washington as our general, let's print money, and let's also train militias. The Continental Congress is going to meet, and they're going to choose Thomas Jefferson, a Southern plantation owner, to draft the document called the Declaration of Independence. Now, this document is not just like a race response. It's not like a short little essay. It's a very detailed, very word-specific account of what the colonists thought should happen and why they were declaring their independence from the country of Great Britain. And so the Declaration of Independence is really broken up into 4 specific parts. In the Declaration of Independence, it begins with a preamble. So you could think of this almost like your intro paragraph in an essay. It's really setting up why the colonists are writing this document and what some of their core beliefs are and what the later parts of the Declaration of Independence are going to be later on. So the second part of the Declaration of Independence is the beliefs of the colonists, how the colonists all have natural rights and how the government should be governed by the people. And if the government is tyrannical or there is a tyrant who's leading the government, which they saw as the King of England, then the citizens of that government, because the government gets its power from the people, then those citizens have the right to overthrow, alter, and or change the government. So it's the beliefs for part 2 and what their natural rights are as citizens of a government body are. Part 3 is a list of grievances or formal complaints, not complaints. Sorry for the typo, guys. But a list of grievances or formal complaints about here's all the things that we see are wrong with the King of England. You have X, Y, Z, Q, R, L, M, P, and they just list everything, one after the other, of everything that they either find wrong with the King of England or with their government style and different things like that. So it's a huge list of grievances that the colonists had. And then number 4 is really the Declaration of Independence. It's really like the gut punch from the colonists to the King of England in written form. And so on part 4, they're really dissolving or ending their connection with Britain. So it's almost like if you've ever had a breakup letter or you've ever broken up with someone and someone's like, it's not me, it's you. That's literally what the colonists are doing at the end in this dissolving the connection portion of the Declaration of Independence. They're saying, it's not our fault, it's your fault, King of England. And so we're breaking up from you and we're going to become our own independent country. We're going to declare our independence. And also, great movie, not super historically accurate, but great movie, is National Treasure, where Nicolas Cage has to go and steal the Declaration of Independence. Love that movie. All right, and so the impact of this Declaration of Independence. It is a document. It's not someone just shouting on the street corner, hey, we declare our independence. But this document that has these 4 different parts, the preambles, the beliefs, the grievances, and dissolving their union from the British government, this document is going to be finished written, or they're going to finish writing it, that's how you say it. They're going to finish writing it on July 2nd of 1776, so half a year after Common Sense was written by Thomas Paine. On July 2nd, 1776, they're going to have this Declaration of Independence written. July 4th, 1776, Congress is going to approve the Declaration of Independence. So the same Continental Congress that chose Washington to be the Continental leader, or Continental Army leader, they decided to print their own money, and also they decided to start training militias. That same Congress is going to approve the Declaration of Independence. So if you've ever been like, man, why do we celebrate 4th of July on July 4th? It's because that's the date that Congress actually approves the Declaration of Independence. They say, yes, we agree that we should be an independent country or an independent set of countries, all united under this one idea that we should no longer follow Britain. Here's the kicker. The Declaration of Independence is approved on July 4th of 1776, but it's not actually going to be signed until August 2nd. So we're going to celebrate July 4th, or our Independence Day, on July 4th because that's when Congress approves it, not because it was actually signed on August 2nd. The colonists are also going to be having a cause for what they're fighting for. They're no longer fighting for no taxation without representation, but they're instead going to be fighting for their own independence from England. This is a big deal. The individuals that signed this document are signing basically their lives away. If they lost the American Revolution, these individuals that signed the Declaration of Independence would have been killed for treason. And so when we celebrate July 4th and we say, oh, we have our independence, this is awesome, it has more weight to it than I think we sometimes give, because these individuals literally were signing their lives away for the cause of wanting their independence and wanting to be their own governing people, which is crazy to think about. All right, so your source analysis, you're going to read the source about the beliefs, or part 2 of the Declaration of Independence. You're going to read the questions before you read the source, and then answer the questions in complete sentences. And then after you've completed your source analysis, you're going to write your race response, basically saying, are the beliefs of the colonists still true today? And do you think that the colonists were right or justified in writing their Declaration of Independence? So until next time, Mr. Smith out.